breathe. Now, reach out. What do you see?
Time to light it up.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
What is...
So good to have you back.
Kill me now.
Alright, Vince, start it.
BB-8, punch it!
Once again, we're back for Merry Maniacs, and once again, we have a film that's not Christmas.
This is not going to go the way you think.
Because that's what we do here on our Christmas special, is bring you a lot of movies that have nothing to do with Christmas.
But we couldn't go this year without, of course, doing a review for this, because this is one of our favorite films ever.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah, and we've been waiting, 2 years now to watch this. So, yeah, it was hugely anticipated by both of us, obviously, because we're both Star Wars fanatics since of the age of 7. And this one is continuing the story from the other one that was, 2 years ago, right?
Yes, from the Star Wars The Force Awakens.
This is my movie. This is the one I've been looking forward to because I want to know what happens, like everybody else, every other Star Wars fan. What happened at the end of The Force Awakens? What happened with Luke and Rey, and they introduced all these great new fun characters that you fell in love with and you wanted to know more about, and that's what this movie was, finally.
It's also a movie where it's showing what has kind of been going on in the time between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. It's showing that, as well as, like you said, going on with all the new characters and their stories, and kind of giving an insight on them, more development on those, and going forward.
All right, Vince. So I probably said this when The Force Awakens came out. Being a fan of Star Wars is miserable. It's just absolutely miserable.
Well, I wouldn't call it completely miserable.
It's like, people want to spoil stuff for you. And you literally have to, the week of this coming out, if you're a Star Wars fan, you have to live in a cave. You can't go anywhere. You can't get on the internet. You can't even go to a store. You can't do anything. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. That's all you hear. And it's miserable to me. I mean, it's absolutely miserable. It's not fun.
Well, yeah, I see that point, and I totally agree with you. Yeah, from that perspective of it, yeah, it is. It's tiring because you're just bombarded with Star Wars. Like you said, the worst part of it, though, yes, this is the worst and the most miserable part of it, is having all these people out there who will stop at nothing to ruin Star Wars for you, whether it be the new movie, whether it be the past movies. They will stop at absolutely nothing to spoil it and ruin it for you.
And I'll give you an example. I'm sitting there at White Castle's, just sitting there, eating there at White Castle, and they have 2 TV monitors up on the walls. What do critics think of the new Star Wars coming up next after this commercial? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm sitting there shoving hamburgers in my face, trying to get out of the place because I don't want to hear about it. I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. And I have to run out of the White Castles with the hamburgers hanging out of my mouth, thinking, oh, we're here, Lester. Like I said, it's stupid. It's so stupid that you have to go through this misery just to enjoy a movie.
But for myself, it was like I couldn't watch television because every 10 seconds there was a commercial of some kind for Star Wars The Last Jedi, or getting on social media anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter which social media platform you got on, it was everywhere. You saw either trailers, you saw people's stupid spoiler alerts and all this crap, and it's all over the place. And you said this on The Force Awakens, actually, trying to avoid all that is like trying not to step on a landmine.
You don't have to go into a workplace either and have all these people come up to you. Did you see it? Did you see it? Oh, did you see what happened? Did you hear this? Did you hear this is going to happen? Did you hear that's going to happen? And it's ridiculous. And it's like that everywhere. It's just ridiculous.
There was actually even a trailer for Star Wars, a little mini trailer on Facebook that you couldn't help seeing because it pops up in your feed that says, "Don't spoil this." And they're showing clips from the movie. They're even putting it out there on their actual ads. And I'm like, really?
And then you have people who just hate Star Wars, who used to be Star Wars fans and just hate it and just despise it. And then again, you get on social media, Star Wars sucks. It sucks. You know, you're like, oh my God, spoilers. This happens. And it's all over the plastered all over their pages. And again, you don't want to see it. You don't want to, you know, watch it or look at it. But then it's right in your face. And it's like, just get off social media for an entire week if you don't want to get spoiled. But then you forget about it and you get on there and the ending explained on the last Jedi. And it's just like, shut up.
I totally agree with you. Mostly I get on Facebook, so I avoided Facebook from like Tuesday until the day I saw it. I mean, I literally avoided Facebook as much as possible.
All right, so let's get in the movie there, Vince. All right, so as I said, the Force Awakens was huge for me. I mean, it brought back all the characters and the nostalgia of Star Wars and getting to see Han Solo and Princess Leia and all these characters and introducing new characters that were fantastic and getting to see all the same ships. And oh my God, I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster for me. I was completely wrecked by the end of that movie. So going into this one, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel because I didn't know. I didn't know what to feel when I went into this. And so, The Last Jedi, and we're going to do this, if you're wondering, we're not giving out spoilers. I just want to do no spoilers here.
Yeah, maybe we can do an actual spoiler review later or something.
In this one, the big questions I had going into it was how much of Luke was going to be in this movie. Were they only going to show him for 5 minutes again, and that's it, and we don't get to see Luke anymore? And what's the deal? You know, and the big mysteries about this film is who was Rey's parents, and who is Snoke, and where he came from. And everybody's been talking about this for 2 freaking years. You had to hear about it. And I didn't care. I really didn't care where Snoke came from, or who Snoke was, or I didn't care. It didn't bother me. And same thing with Rey's parents. I was like, whatever. I mean, and they answered a few things in the movie, and a few things they didn't answer, and I was perfectly fine with all of it.
First of all, I love the movie. I'll say it right now. I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. I loved all the acting. I loved all the special effects. I loved the movie. It was awesome. Was it better than The Force Awakens? I don't know.
Well, I can answer that. I can answer that for you. No, it wasn't.
Well, I say I don't know because of this reason. Is when I went and saw The Matrix, okay, and even the second Matrix, the Matrix Reloaded or whatever. When I saw those movies, the first time I saw them, I sat there through most of those movies the first time going, wow, oh wow, oh wow, wow, oh awesome, oh wow. So I kind of did that in here. Through most of the movie, I was just sitting there just stunned and wow, you know. And it wasn't that I wasn't picking up the story, but it's times when like that sometimes you miss things along the way because you're sitting there going, wow, really? Wow. And especially in this one, because it's coming at you so fast. Everything is, I mean, they crammed so much stuff into this movie and just shoved it at you as fast as they could.
And plus, this is almost Lord of the Rings long. It's almost Return of the King long. It's about almost 3 hours long. I mean, it's an hour shy of Return of the King long. It's a long movie.
It's 2.5 hours long, and I didn't mind that either. That doesn't even bother me anymore. That, you know, that they make things like that. And I kind of wish they would have done that actually with Force Awakens. Maybe they would have shown a little bit more and actually made, you know, some of what comes into this movie, kind of put it in there, and then you wouldn't have had all these fanboys going, "It was just like The New Hope. We didn't like it because it was like The New Hope."
Is that what? I didn't know that's what fanboys sound like. Wow, that's a good impression, Vince.
Oh yeah, I mean, just these whining fanboys that were out there going, "Oh, it's just like The New Hope. They followed the same story." Blah, 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 blah.
Star Wars sucks. That's for me. That's the fanboys. It sucks.
Yeah. And for this movie, though, the story is really, really good. But there's so much of it, and like I said, they were just cramming as much as they could into this. And when you're sitting there watching this and seeing all this crammed at you, and you're trying to take in not only the story, but you're looking at all these amazing, and they are amazing in here, the special effects, because they still continued with the practical effects as well as the CGI, and it was a perfect combination once again. But you're trying to take all this in at one time, and it's like, it can get confusing, and you can miss things. And if you're not an actual Star Wars fan and keep up with it like Dave and I do, you're going to miss things entirely. You know, if you're a casual fan, you know, that watches the movies yeah, I watched them once or twice, you know, you're going to miss things. You're going to be completely confused as to what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, cause my parents want to go see it, and I said, well, how well do you remember The Force Awakens? Do you remember anything, any details about it? Oh, well, we remember some stuff about it. I was like, well, if you don't remember it that well and you go into this, you will have very little idea of what is happening in this movie, because it's almost a continuation directly from that movie. I mean, they have Rey still standing there with the lightsaber, giving it to Luke, and, you know, that's kind of where her story begins in this movie. And Star Wars sucks. So, okay, the things in this movie is Luke was just kind of weird to me. The whole time he was in this movie, he was just weird. I don't really know how to explain it other than weird. He was just bizarre in the movie. But the other thing with him is he says so much stuff in this movie that makes you sit there and like, wow, is he actually talking about this stuff? He talks about the Jedis, and again, no spoilers here, but he talks about, you know, the history of the Jedi. Stuff that, you know, it's weird to hear him talk about, because a lot of these fanboys that hate the movies talk about that stuff, and here it is right on the screen. I mean, they're telling you right to your face, here's, you know, what I think too. And I thought that was really cool, him saying that, and also just weird. I just thought the whole thing was strange. And the stuff with Kylo Ren, they did such a better job with him in this movie. He's so much better in this movie than he was in the other one.
Exactly.
They made him more of a character that he should have been. And again, they addressed the stuff about him being a whiny fanboy in the first movie in this one. I mean, they say right to your face, well, you're just nothing but a whiny fanboy in a stupid mask that I can't understand you, you know.
Well, he didn't say fanboy, he's a child. You're nothing but a child in this stupid mask.
I was at that point I was waiting for Snoke just to come up and say, Star Wars sucks.
And yeah, I found that to be interesting that they would actually throw that right out there, you know, right to the beginning. And I totally agree with you about Kylo Ren. He was so much better in there. His acting was so much better in this one. It was almost like Hayden Christensen. I mean, it was like, you know, in a way, it was like reliving that.
Vince, don't go there, Vince. We don't want to bog this thing down with bad memories. Don't even go there.
No, what I'm saying is, in Force Awakens, yeah, he was okay, and a lot of people said that. Yeah. Oh crap. My green screen fell. Hold on.
Wow, was it the Force? Was Kylo Ren using the Force behind you, Vince? That's pretty powerful coming through the video.
I will be the most powerful Jedi ever.
Oh, Jesus. He was trying to tell me, shut the fuck up.
Hey, watch the language.
You see, because all it took was you talking about Hayden Christensen, and that was it. The whole video just fell apart. I told you, Vince. I told you.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
Maybe I better not mention him again. Hold on, I gotta get my green screen fixed.
Life seems so much simpler when you're fixing things.
Yeah. Anyway, so while Vince is fixing his green screen, that fell over because of Hayden Christensen.
I'm good at fixing things. Always was.
The one big thing out of everything in this movie that upset me, it really kind of upset me a lot, was the fact that, okay, in The Force Awakens, you have these two great characters of Finn and Rey, and they meet each other, and the connection is instant there. They have an instant connection there where, you know, the chemistry is fantastic between the two, and you want to see it in this movie, and you don't, because they're never together in this film. They're not. I mean, Rey's off on an island, Finn's doing his own thing, and they never come together. And I didn't like that at all. That's one thing about this movie that, okay, give us Finn, give us Rey, because that's what made the first movie so much fun. They didn't give it to us in this. It wasn't even there. And the big thing, and I've heard a lot of people complain about this, is the middle of this film drags. It drags a lot with this subplot of Finn and somebody else doing something, going somewhere and doing something, and it does bog the movie down. It does. I agree with that. I think it does slow the film down with this subplot that they have to go off and do something else to do something else. And again, I only seen this movie once. That's the thing. So now going into it a second time, knowing that the subplot is in there and what they have to do, it may not bother me as much watching it the second time.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Because if we go back and see this again, you're going to pay a lot more attention to the story. And you're going to understand why they did some of the things that they did, and the reason they did things that they did in this movie. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Because you're sitting there through most of the movie going, oh, wow. And then the rest of it, I mean, you're missing parts. You're missing little bits of it. Because even at the end of the film, when I came out, I was like, I liked it. I loved it.
What happened? Did I miss something? What's going on? Star Wars sucks.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
But I was also thinking back, okay, now what did they say about this? Or what did they do about that? Or something. And I can't really remember it. Because it was right in the middle of watching this incredible, you know, epic scene. And you just kind of miss some things. And there's so much story that's thrown at you. And I think that's because, I mean, you got to remember, this is a new trilogy, but it's also the end of this entire saga. It's going toward that last part. It's going toward episode 9. So they tried to cram as much as they could into this film to get you to that next phase. And, you know, it's Disney, so if they actually ended at part 9, who really knows? But as far as we all know right at this moment, Star Wars was always episodes 1 through 9, and 9 is supposed to be the last one. And so here they went and crammed everything in this movie. And all the story is coming at you, and it's a good story. It's just there's so much of it, and you get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't think the middle part of this movie bogged down with the whole Finn story? It just seemed so out of place in the movie. It was just, I don't know. I just didn't like any of that middle part of the film. That was one of the big parts of the movie that I did not like.
No, I didn't feel that way, but I see what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, and no, I didn't feel that way, but I agree with you that, you know, I would have liked to seen Rey and Finn get back together at some point and do that, but I don't know. And you were talking about Luke, you know, in this film, and I wanted to say something about that. Was that, yeah, I didn't know what quite to expect from Luke Skywalker in this, And in some ways, he's very much still Luke Skywalker, but in other ways, he wasn't. You know, he's a different Luke Skywalker, and I think that's going to throw some fans off quite a bit, because stuff that... Here's the other thing, is you got to remember, well, a lot of these fanboys, is they've got stuff all in their head about what Star Wars should be, you know, what should have happened with it, and they say this all the time. You read any blog, you go to any podcast, here's what I thought they should have done. And they do this all the time, and they got it all in their head that this is what should have happened. And then when they're presented with something that's not what they thought it would be, then they go, oh, Star Wars sucks. Luke actually says this in the trailers.
This is not going to go the way you think.
And he says it in the movie. This is not going to happen the way you think. And that's exactly what this movie is. It's not what you expect it to be. And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I guess we'll know by episode 9, but, you know, does it actually work for the film? I guess is where I'm getting at with that as well. And I think it does, but I don't know. I mean, time will tell. And I need to see it again.
Let's talk about the Porgs, Vince. Because that was one of the big controversies coming into this movie, was the Porgs. Oh my God, the Porgs going to... I mean, it's all because of one person, and that is Jar Jar. And anytime you introduce, like, BB-8 in The Force Awakens, oh my God, here's a new Jar Jar. Here's a new Jar Jar. Star Wars sucks. And...
And again, that's a bunch of fanboys whining.
I know. And now we have the Porgs in this. Oh my God, here's the new Ewoks. Here's the new Ewoks. Star Wars sucks. It's like, you know.
I have to say, I love the Porgs. I loved them because they made a big freaking deal out of this, like you said. They did. They complained about it. As soon as they saw the Porg in the trailer or on a picture or whatever, they were like, oh my God, it's the Ewoks again. It's the Jar Jar again. It's the Ewoks. It's the Ewoks. The Porgs are in here, but they don't do anything. They're just there, you know?
They get a couple good laughs. They're basically birds that are on that island. I mean, that's all they are. Like space chickens, I guess. That'd be a good term for them.
Actually, Rian Johnson, I did see a clip of this that I couldn't miss, but it was actually from Star Wars, like .com or whatever. And Rian Johnson, the director, he said the whole reason that they made these Porgs was because when they were filming on Skellig Island, there was all these little birds. I forget what the name of the birds were, but there was all these little birds, and they're actually a sanctuary or the island's a sanctuary for these birds. So there's all these birds everywhere, and they would show up while they were filming, and they would either make noise or they would, flap around, fly around when they were filming. So they kind of dedicated the Porgs to these. They kind of took the idea of all these birds just sitting around and made a Star Wars bird out of it.
I also enjoyed the Porgs, and a lot of people, again, the Star Wars fans who just want to hate on Star Wars are like, oh, they should only make these to sell toys and so kids can find. You know what? Who cares? Who cares? I mean, again, they're in the movie all of probably not even 3 minutes in screen time, but every time they're on the film or every time they're on the screen, they're fine. I mean, they're cool, they're funny, they're not overly cute. I mean, there's a lot of scenes with them and with them and Chewbacca, and every time they were on the screen, it was funny. I thought it was they were entertaining. And actually, I wish they were on the screen more than what they showed, because I thought they were cool little animals. I mean, I had no problem with them.
Exactly. I feel exactly the same way. I didn't have any problem with it at all. And I think what it was too is Rian Johnson was kind of thinking that was like, well, I want to put him in the film, but I don't want him to have to be something that is detrimental to the story, that it actually is part of the story, and that's what they're not, and that's what everybody thought when they saw the first images of these Porgs, was they were going to be the ones to bring down the First Order or something stupid like that. Like the Ewoks.
So, I know this is going on really long, so we need to cut this short here. Is it my favorite movie of the year? No. It is not my favorite movie of the year. Is it a really good, entertaining movie? Absolutely. Especially the middle to the last half of this film, I was transfixed in the movie. I mean, it really got to me. The whole towards, like I said, right after the whole thing with Finn and getting off that island and everything, between that and the ending of this film, I was in it. I was in it 100%, and I thought it was great. The whole last half of the hour and a half of the last end of this film, spectacular. I thought it was really cool, and I love the ending of the movie, and there's so much to think about, too. It's one of those films that as soon as you come out of it, you get on, Star Wars sucks! I hate it! You know. But it's like, you got to think about what you saw. I mean, digest it, because I saw it like 3 days ago. And you got to think about it. You got to digest it and think about it. Instead of, Luke's stupid. I hate the Porgs. I hate this. I hate that. Kylo Ren sucks. I mean, it's like, it's like, seriously, people, it's Star Wars. It's a science fiction movie. It's supposed to be fun and action packed, and don't sit there and just overthink what it's Star Wars. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying. I mean, it was there's these people that just, they've got it in their head what Star Wars should have been, and we had so many years to think about that. What would have happened after Return of the Jedi? So they put all that into their heads that this should have happened or that should have happened, and when it doesn't happen for them, then they're like, but if it had happened, I'm sure they'd be sitting there going, I knew it before anyone else. I knew it.
Star Wars is so predictable, it still sucks.
Exactly. Then they would be, it's so predictable. But you got to push all that stuff away and just go and enjoy the film and enjoy it for what it is and watch it and try to take in the story as much as possible and try not to get confused.
When I was watching it, the last thing I'm going to say here is when I was watching it, it's not episode 4, 5, and 6. It never will be episode 4, 5, and 6. It's not episode 1, 2, and 3. It's a new take on Star Wars. It's a new director. It's a new look. It's a new feel. And again, a lot of the fanboys hate that. They hate that it's not the same, that it's different. And they don't like the look of it. They don't like the feel of it. They don't like anything about it. Because when I was sitting there watching it, I kept thinking, this don't really look like Star Wars that much. It's its own look to it now. It doesn't look like Empire. It don't look like Return of the Jedi. It don't look like anything like it. It's an all new look to Star Wars. And again, I think a lot of people are going to hate that because I hate it. Star Wars sucks.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I still got a feel of Star Wars in this. And more than the prequels. But for me and David, I mean, we grew up with the original trilogy, of course. We saw it from 1977. And then the prequels came out, and we saw all the prequels. So we've got a taste of both worlds, and now we're getting a taste of a new world. And for us, we're liking this taste of this new world. Because it has everything that the old world had, but this is something different and something new, and it's going somewhere different with the story. And only time will tell if after it all ends if it really worked or not. But right now it's working, and I enjoy it, and I think it's fantastic, and I love the film. So I would definitely give this movie
Well, I wouldn't give it that, because again, I didn't think it's not my favorite movie of the year, but it was still a really entertaining movie. I enjoyed it. It was Star Wars. I liked where they went with it. I thought there were so many cool things in there, cool new ships. You know, I did like the Porgs, and liked all the new creatures, and liked everything about it. And I'm giving it a 5 out of 5.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
Well, I just enjoyed the hell out of it. I did. I really did enjoy it.
But, you know, we're going to have the people who, if anyone actually watches this review, they're like, wait a minute, you like the new Star Wars? It's cool to hate on it. Your review sucks as much as this Star Wars movie does, and screw you and screw the Porgs.
So, anyway, that's our review of Star Wars The Last Jedi. We might do a spoiler review of it, maybe. But that's our review for now, and I hope you enjoyed it. So keep subscribing, keep hitting the little bell, keep doing everything that we tell you to do every single freaking video that we do. And you know, leave comments, leave feedback. We love to answer those things. And I hope you enjoyed everything. Oh, and we're still selling t-shirts, so go down there and sell, you know, click on the links and stuff.
It's not too late to be a merry maniac, or just to be a maniac.
Or a box office maniac.
So, yep, love Star Wars. I will be going to see it again, probably, before it leaves the theaters. And I'm kind of interested in thinking to myself what I'm going to think about it the second time watching it, actually. So, again, thanks for watching. You guys are amazing. And we will return in 2 years with the next movie. And maybe have a couple reviews in between that.